2019 Mountain Dew GSL Season 2 Codex Renaissance.
What's up, everybody? We're back here, the GSL Codex. We've got a kick-ass match coming up next. It's going to be Deer versus soO.
Yeah,
And, you know, as good as Deer is right now, I think maybe soO takes it. I think soO looked a little bit off in our first game against Alive, but he really pulls it together. It's hard to not be reminded how on earth soO's gotten so far so many times in tournaments. I mean, he's just such a strong player. He's so robust. His early game's great. His openings are good. He occasionally falters. I think some of his biggest issues have been psychological in the past, you know, getting to that many finals and not able to deliver despite beating every other player in the world on that path. But Deer is a new Deer right now. He's looking like the Deer from the past that managed to win the GSL Codex as a Royal Roader. So this is going to be a very fun match in Season 2 here.
Yeah, I think Deer is actually going to beat soO, to be honest. Like, I just think he looks so good right now. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what soO is going to bring for us, though. So excited for possibly a close match.
Okay, we're going to go into this best of 3 now. Deer versus soO is ready to go. The winner is going to be, oh, it says Group C up there, but it's Group D. We're going to go to the winner's going to be the first player to survive Group D in the GSL Codex.
Newbie, Deer. Chivo, soO.
So Automaton going to be our first map here.
Or Automaton, as the adjutant said in Season 1.
Unsure what we're really going to end up seeing. You know, PvZ, we've seen so many different builds lately. Just so many. It's not nearly as Archon drop heavy as it was. Obviously, there's still quite a few, but you know, we've seen so many like Adept Glaive builds. Oh my God! Look at that, 7-1 Deer versus soO. In like,
you know, I never would have guessed that.
No, certainly I would not.
That's a very interesting statistic.
Yeah. But, you know, we've seen so many different builds. We've seen the return of Soccer Sentry and stuff. Hey!
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming down. I believe they're streaming that on their phone, too.
Oh, excellent. You can watch GSL while you're watching
Yeah,
GSL?
you can get Met. If you got 2 monitors, you can put their stream on.
Yeah.
And then we need to get the VR goggles, too, for the, the full experience. Will we ever be casting games in VR, Artosis? Will we ever have that? Will I ever be wearing the headset and have the wands in my hands and I'm flying through the game? My little avatar has a little caster blazer, too.
You know, I don't think that VR is going to really become part of esports, to be honest.
I actually think you might be right, but a lot of people that have a lot of money invested in it would disagree with you. But
oh, absolutely.
I think people get mixed up where they're like, oh, we can kind of make virtual reality, and then you really will be fighting another human there. And it's like, yeah, but you already had that with MMA. I don't.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, the thing about
then you could say like, oh, well, you already have soccer, but now we have FIFA, right?
Right.
Now we have Rocket League where you hit it with the cars.
That was the whole point. Back in the day, humans used to actually kick a ball around before we had digital cars that could drive them into knocking them into goals.
Yeah. Well, I mean, eventually, VR is going to be, you know, there's going to be really, really good stuff, and like, maybe the thing is, there's always going to be like developers forcing games into being esports, but I'm like, I don't know. We don't have like, are there any sports that use like machines and electronics? Are there? I actually don't know.
What do you mean by that? Like,
okay, so sports
sports
were invented a long time ago. Like all the sports that are popular basically are pretty old, right?
Yeah.
So now we have all this other stuff that exists, right? Like there's no sport where you use a ball cannon, right? There's not like Super Baseball where you get on a motorcycle to go to
Sega
first
Genesis
base.
or Nintendo. There was one where they had robots playing baseball.
Okay, but I'm saying like
Mutant Football League 2.
there isn't a sport. Okay, so it's a DT-based Archon drop. This is a great build right now. But there isn't a sport that uses like electronic stuff to play, as far as I know.
Well, no, but they've had big advancements in sports, like where I think now they have the cameras on, like in let's say American football.
Oh yeah, no,
they have the cameras
absolutely
hooked on these like tether cords that can kind of zoom down
yes.
through the field. So that would be a technological advancement as far as spectating goes. But you're right, it's not like
I've seen that, like
the players have microchips in their helmets or use like a Google Glass or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
Well, yeah, they have. You know, there's like the hockey puck will get highlighted and stuff. I remember that happened years and years and years ago. Yeah, they have all sorts of stuff like that. They have cams now to actually check if balls are out in tennis.
Right.
Instead of just a judge deciding. And that's great stuff. I'm talking, there's no, like, there isn't a sport that uses all that technological garbage to actually play.
Okay, but hold on
Yeah.
a second, all right?
Yeah.
While we're on this topic.
Yeah.
Actually, are these ETs just going to come in and do any damage here?
There's a spore.
There's a spore
They'll
here.
attack in for a second, then
Yeah,
they'll pick
they'll
them
be
up
like,
and go make Archons.
you can see us, huh? Watch this. How did we get in that so far away? Now, though, maybe not for players, VR might not be a thing, but what about for observers?
Oh,
what
sure,
about
yeah.
for fans? What if you're
100%.
flying around in some Battle Royale game or an RTS game or whatever with your goggles on and your wands out and your dog looking at you unhappily because it can't interact with you because you got your, you got your VR headset on? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that will be the case. Like, why not go watch in your virtual world with your virtual friends the esport that you're watching? And I mean, there could even be the, you know, conversely, the actual game like that. It's just, I don't know. Those types of advancements never seem like they happen in actual sports. And I look at the games that we have right now. I'm like, is someone going to make better games? Because everyone just wants microtransactions. So I don't think people are going to make better games than what we have
You might be
now.
right. We have Archons dropping over here now, driving away some of these overlords.
Oh, yeah, pretty nice harassment.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised there were just 3 overlords even bunched up over there. But okay, 3 overlords that fast is actually a pretty big deal because it supply blocks the Zerg pretty heavily.
Yeah,
and in this phase of the game, you're actually trying to macro up quite a bit.
Oh, it's very good harassment with the 2 prisms. I like how this is just a DT here too. He's not like going super duper crazy about it, just a little bit crazy about it. Oh, pick it up. Yeah, I guess that one's gone.
We'll never know what happened to him.
No, he died.
He's in there. He's got to believe.
I heard the death.
This would be a great twist. soO is going to unload these these lings.
Yeah, it's cool
here.
that we've seen the return of Ling drops, by the way.
Yeah.
Not too much, but we see little moves like this from time to time, and it's nice. Like, already, he's killed 4 probes with this drop so far, between the first iteration and this one. So definitely a worthwhile thing. But soO right now is just kind of going into Roach Hydra, so he's going to have a very strong army. But I feel like as long as Deer keeps him back a little bit longer, like, look, already 3 Immortals right there. He's going to be having his charge come up. He's just adding a lot of gates. I don't think soO's going to be able to do too much, right? Look at that.
Well, we have the army moving out. I was going to say he needs more of those DTs and Archons. Yeah, it looks like we're having Protoss move out now. Now, he's gotten rid of a lot of the overlords that were spotting out here. So I don't know if Zerg actually saw the army moving here. It just seems like back at home, soO is just macroing up. By the way, Zealot charge is about to finish. His War Prism here is actually drawing some screen and time away from the outside of this base. But now I think soO realizes what Deer's doing. Deer's going to come down now.
It's a pretty scary army. There's 10 Hydras out, 32 Roaches, though, so...
Not a ton of sentries, so the first few force fields is what you're going to get. I'm sorry, there's no War Prism with this army either, but all Archons and Immortals are alive.
Oh, there's actually one behind that's doing a Warpin right now.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. And
you're right.
He's really chewing through with his Immortals at the moment. They're still very, very high on health. Some good micro here from Deer.
The thing is, this angle was so good from Deer that he never even needed to use War Prism harass.
Yeah.
Or micro, I guess is what I mean.
It's a very good attack coming out. Look at this.
The thing is, Hydras are good against Immortals until you don't have very many Hydras. Because Immortals are kind of good against everything. All right, now the question is, are the Hydras close enough to pick off the Warp Prism? It looks like the Warp Prism is still not going to go down, at least for a little bit here, and there's still 4 Immortals alive.
Yeah, I think that's just about it. He lost all those drones. He's still got the 4 Immortals alive. The shields are going to come back. He's starting to juggle with the Prism as well.
He's got to be careful. He needs another Warp in here. Some attacks coming in from behind.
Gosh.
GG, Deer does it.
That was a pretty good play from Deer. Anyone who wants to tell me that Deer doesn't look like one of the top players in the world right now, don't at me, because you're dummy.
I can't believe how excellently he did that.
Everything he's doing is so clean. That's the main feeling I'm getting out of this. It's not like there's errant units or probes not mining or a hole in his wall and that Zerglings are getting through. He's just nailing everything. The Prism comes up before the Immortals are endangered. He's getting his warp in rounds and spending his money. His upgrades are all precisely done. His harassment is beautiful. He's playing so strongly right now.
Okay, we're going to go to Port Alexander. Deer versus soO. Game number 2. Right now, Deer smashing soO. Despite soO actually holding off the initial DT run-in with proper detection there, that attack was one of the best executed moves ever. The Warp Prism was safe. There was no need to even try to micro the Archons in and out of Warp Prism at the start because so much damage had been dealt. He kept all 4 Immortals alive and closed it out. Let's see what happens in Game 2, Deer versus soO.
게임이 시작됩니다.
Newbie, Deer.
How dare you? Leave Deer alone, GSL voice. You're the newbie.
Oh, for sure.
Chivo, soO.
Now we wait a little bit.
A little wait.
Yeah. See if anyone goes for gamble.
I have to say, Deer looks very impressive back there. These Protosses have gotten so good. It's not just about Warp Prism Micro. It really is kind of the angle you come in. Attacks in StarCraft 2 happen so quickly that if a few units are slightly out of position, sometimes damage can mount so quickly until you end up getting some favorable pairings that it just falls apart.
Yeah, it was just such a powerful attack with those 4 Immortals before he really hit a critical mass of the Hydras. Tough stuff. And I mean, soO is. It's not like I feel like he's playing poorly here. It's just a very sharp, very good Deer.
Pool nearing completion here. soO. I didn't feel like soO did any one thing really wrong back there either. I think there was chances he could have held that a little bit better, but I guess he didn't really see the attack coming until it had started. You know, Protosses have so many different types of timing attacks and different compositions with those attacks, and a lot of it is Zerg just trying to get a feel and read out what exactly is coming at them so they can be ready to counter it. But
yeah, it's really hard to do correctly.
Yeah.
You know, you're playing against Archon drop, so you look at that, and that's the quick Archon drop. The quickest one that you can really do is the Dark Templar based one, so you need roaches against that. It's very hard to play against that without roaches.
You're kind of navigating them into a unit composition and then punishing it later.
Exactly. And just the build in general from Deer was so good that he had a 3rd base up and mining and 4 Immortals and just enough sentries with just enough energy that the push was unbelievably strong. So it's definitely a tough thing. It's tough what Deer did, but as soO, you need to catch wind of it. So an Adept coming up. Doesn't finish. Doesn't get too much of a scout done there.
We've got an Oracle on the way. And I think Deer, after winning that first game, probably wants to play a fairly... Oh, I'm surprised he actually had that warp in. Okay. Well, this isn't going to do anything.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. He actually cancels that spore. There is an Oracle being made, so we'll see if he remakes any spores here. But I think it's okay to let an Adept shade in to the main base.
Well, I guess it's not a big deal if you lose it. I don't think you ever want to. Was he really just trying to make sure absolutely there's nothing weird going on?
Yeah,
in there?
If it's 2 Adepts that you shade in, you're going for drones specifically. If
And
it's
one is just a scout.
one is going to die, like almost certainly, especially if it already took any damage. And it's kind of slow in killing drones, so it's hard to, force drone kills there because they can make buildings and whatnot. So yeah, I would say when you let one finish the shade, you're like, do you have a Roach Horn or a Baneling Nest or something silly? And he sees that there's not. He can kind of play in a more laid-back manner now. So this is...
Ooh, Adept Glaives.
It's a 2-base layer, which is kind of interesting.
I kept thinking we're going to have a third come up eventually. I'm like, all right, come on. So,
yeah, I'm interested here because, okay, so we have Roach Speed and +1. Okay, and now the third starts up. I've seen builds like this before. They're kind of old. No one really plays exactly like this, but going 2-base with the speed and the +1, I'm not sure what the plan is. I feel like Deer right now, and again, part of the reason why he finished that shade is because there's not a third, but you're like thinking, is this going to be, a Nidus? Is this going to be Mutas? Like, what are you doing exactly here?
It's funny because there's a reason why we don't see this very often, is it's probably not a safe way to move into a late game, but I don't think Deer was expecting Sue to do this time around. Now, he went ahead and got Glaives anyways. That upgrade's about to finish. Immortals are coming out. Can you do that much damage, though, to a Zerg that focused on tech instead of trying to get a third base right away? That third base is
he's got
moments
no
away from
drones
finishing.
in the third, and he's about to have the +1 in Roach Speed done, and Roach is against Adepts. So I look at this, and I think that these Adepts are going to be pretty useless.
There's also not a lot of locations you can try to exploit with the Adept mobility, right? I mean, I guess just now that third base is going to be done, but these Roaches are coming down here. And kind of similar to what we had in the Alive versus soO games, where it just didn't really seems like one guy was doing one dance, one guy's doing the tango, the other one's doing the waltz.
Oh.
But the fact of the matter is, if even with less locations to try to defend here, he's still actually taking a decent amount of damage. 8 kills is actually quite a bit.
Well, it wasn't that bad until the shade finished in the natural.
Yeah.
soO hadn't split any of his units, just all of his units went up into the main base to chase.
By the way, 4 more gates are coming here, Artosis.
This is...
So I think there's going to be a big follow-up attack.
That's kind of scary now. He's getting Roach Burrow movement and Burrow, of course, to go with that. Wow, it's a very peculiar game here. I'm excited to see how this goes, though. Back in the very, very beginning of Wings of Liberty, Burrow and Burrow movement was actually a little bit of a counter against pushes like this, because you would just unburrow under the sentries.
Yeah,
and
I remember
keep you
that.
back.
Yeah.
I think that is no longer really the case, but I guess we'll see. Oh, no, he canceled it all. Okay, so never mind. That's too bad. That could have been exciting to see. But I think the Immortals would probably just kill him. He's like, okay, you're going to get some sentries? Okay, that's cool. Now I kill you.
Okay, here comes that push now. This angle is not exactly great for Protoss, but the Roaches don't quite have a lot of range either, so it's not pretty, but I think he can still possibly make it work. Okay, now losing that Immortal in the front is pretty bad. We saw Deer be very conservative behaviorally with his Warp Prism, and because he was so conservative with it, the Immortals didn't have the ability to juggle in and out as easily, but it looks like he's still kind of winning the fight.
Yeah.
And with these Stalkers in here, and if he can bring the Warp Prism up again, I think he can actually close this out. There's a certain distance Protoss can get in the base, and when they start to win the fight, it's just too much. So this is kind of the Alamo here for soO.
Oh, Revelation even going down there, keeping the 2 Immortals alive for now, for sure. With 3 Queens and 3 Ravagers, though, he's really being hesitant on moving up this Warp Prism. Oh, that was a beautiful pickoff.
Okay, he fished out some of that army. Again, these Immortals very low, but it's hard to get too close. Again, these Queens, oh, it's so frustrating. They're kind of body blocking some of those Ravagers that were trying to run back home.
This is kind of amazing to watch that Deer hasn't been held yet. I thought a couple times already that this was going to end, but
It's also kind of crazy how far back he keeps that Warp Prism, despite how low these Immortals are. Even being on creep right now, I mean, you know, you can bum rush these Immortals sometimes, but he seems to have a really clean execution and what is kind of a drawn-out push.
some more Biles going down. The Prism has joined him up here on the high ground. Doesn't really need the juggling as of yet. Comes right up and does that warp. He's going to have to move it now, though.
You know, he's really good at staggering, actually, the warp-ins in between the Biles. That's what he's doing so well.
That's exactly what he's doing.
He basically sees the Biles come out and then does the warp-in. Let's see if he can get the Biles down here now on that.
You know, it's interesting because now soO he's starting to lose control of everything, so he's having to throw down the Biles, but that's going to allow Deer more warp-ins here. Oh, he actually mispicks up the Immortal, and it ends up getting held. 44 probes to 39 drones. No third base here for Deer. Wow.
Yeah, very true.
He really doesn't have anything to speak of at home.
Yeah, this game was supposed to end as that attack pushed through.
It felt to me like soO was going to hold that for a very long time, and then Deer just eked out more and more and more. But just starting that now, he's going to continually make Immortals. I think that's what soO has to be ready for, right? Yeah, he's got that third hatchery, he can get his economy going, but he's got to know that there's going to be another Immortal push.
Impressive to see soO do this. Now remember that soO had an unorthodox way to build up in this game. You know, getting the layer out. He's got his third base up. I'm not clear on when Zerg is going to try to take a fourth here. This is unusual, you know, the pattern of development that he's chosen to take here. I also don't know that soO can really counterattack and try to do any damage on Deer's side of the map. Deer still has a Warp Prism. I think one of the biggest features we've seen here with Deer in this matchup is that he just does not take risks with his Warp Prism. And a lot of times killing the Warp Prism is how you not only stop the rush, or the attack, I should say. It's not so much a rush as it is just a timing attack. But it also, if you keep the Warp Prism alive, gives you the opportunity for harass if the attack fails. You can still do warp-ins in their main. You can still drop elsewhere. And I guess this attack is going to move on here. Now, this is a lot of sentries here.
A big row of force fields goes down. Quite a few Biles going into the air. He does micro those sentries back a little bit. Continues to break down these force fields, though. Deer has more of them. Loses one of those Immortals.
Yeah, force field seeming to not matter here. Every single sentry is gone, by the way. Now, even though the Zerg drove the Protoss back a little bit, keep in mind it's 3-base versus 3-base. We've got a very fresh expansion here for Deer. You know, in this fight, it's going to be hard for Zerg to ever take a fourth base. I mean, Protoss is gaining ground and then occasionally losing it and gaining and losing it, but in these skirmishes, it seems like it's very realistic that Protoss could push into what would be a fourth base in this proximity of the map, kill it, and then go back. So we need to see soO really overcome this army, push out, and then claim the map as his. And right now he's boxed in. There's not a lot of creep out there. So I think things are still going fine for Deer.
Deer right now is going for Disruptor Tech, which we saw from Hurricane. And is very interesting here. Obviously, a couple Disruptor shots would be absolutely phenomenal against this army with the clumped roaches.
Roach Ravager is just so bad against Disruptors in general. They're very clumpy units.
It's just funny to see Disruptors like joining the meta right now against this. You know, it's been only Immortals for so long, but it's definitely a comeback unit in a situation like this.
I think Deer just messed up. He has his Immortals too far back. He was trying to attack and harass into that one army.
Oh my God!
Oh
how did he save that? That is crazy. Okay, now it dies.
Okay, we still don't have that Warp Prism coming back. Is it? Still in the middle of the map, actually.
Yeah, I guess he's microing so frantically at this point. Maybe he caught some reinforcements or something, but mostly Ravagers up at the front. He's about to have a Disruptor, and that actually could help quite a bit here. If he gets a very good shot, here we go!
Oh!
Okay, it wasn't that good, but it did get a couple roaches at least.
Finally, he moves that Warp Prism back there with the Immortal.
Warping in a few more Adepts. He does have that Glaives upgrade.
I think a lot of this fight potentially being lost here is because he just did not have his Immortals that were in the Warp Prism back with the rest of the army.
Oh, he's going to try to save that Disruptor with the Prism. He actually does end up getting it, but a lot of units dying down here at the natural. A lot of his probes going down as well.
As you can see, these disruptor shots are getting off. Not bad.
Yeah, that was a good one. Just keeps it alive somehow, some way. Another one pops out.
Keep in mind, if the Zerg doesn't end this, I mean, it's still Protoss on 3 base, Zerg on 3 base, so it looks like, you know, the Protoss is taking a bit of a beating, but in reality, the math is going to be on the Protoss' side here. Supplies can be misleading with these unit comps because Roaches take so much supply.
Yeah, they're actually both pretty low on workers, both at about 45 right now. And Deer continues to produce out of that Robo. These Robo units just so important. They're everything. He's got a couple disruptors. He's remaking some Immortals right now. I like that soO is instantly remixing in Lings, though. Much better against the disruptors.
Yeah, especially in these open areas like this.
Yeah, good spreading there as well, hitting a different location than before.
Man, some of these disruptor shots are not connecting at all, Artosis.
Yeah, it can be pretty hard. His army doesn't have any actual like strength to it, right? You look at his army, it's like a bunch of stalkers without blink. There's not upgrades. You know, he needs just some Hail Mary disruptor shots, and they're not hitting as of yet.
Archons are very handy against these Ling groups as well. And he doesn't have anything like that right now.
Yeah.
And I think that soO actually did it. I think he actually won the fight he needed to win. His 4th base is coming up. There's still no creep on the map, but soO is staying strong here.
Oh, we need those big disruptor hits if Deers to be able to take this game still. Look at that, soO coming in. Oh, that could be a good one. Oh,
damn,
that's all
soO's
right.
control is so good.
Yeah,
trying to dodge
very
those
strong.
shots.
Well, that's a fantastic disruptor shot, but too little, too late. The Lings get around his army. He's got to use the Prism to try to evacuate everything, but there's just too much.
He's too solid.
Yeah, it looks like that's just about it. A single Immortal left over with that Prism. Not going to be enough. 1-1. Very nice game right there. Quite back and forth.
Really, really good stuff from soO. soO with a weird opening. Holds off that attack. It actually looked for a little bit like Deer was going to win the game with his push. But, you know, the pros and the cons for Deer is that he doesn't lose his Warp Prism. But sometimes that means he's not microing his Immortals in and out, so the Immortals get a little bit squishy right in the end, where normally a Warp Prism present with that army would maybe have the closer there.
That is the interesting takeaway that I'm having right now.
Same,
is just how careful he's being with this Prism. Like, he really believes in his army. He's setting up the fights correctly, that his Immortals don't need juggling very quickly. They're kind of out of range. He's dictating the beginning of the battle with the sentries and then later on using it. And like you said, he was actually timing his warping rounds to go after Biles.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're watching someone who's ascending to a higher level of Protoss right now. Not that no one's never done things like this or something, right? Like, these things are things that Protoss players do, but this consistency from Deer that we're watching recently.
And also kind of an alternative style. Less abuse with the Warp Prism and more just having the good setup when he attacks it and then making sure the reinforcements are there. Still, though, soO manages to hold it. We're going to go to the last match with these two. It's going to be on the map New Repugnancy. The winner of Deer versus soO is going to survive and be our first player to move, at least today, to the round of 16 here in the GSL Code S.
게임이 시작됩니다.
Newbie, Deer. Chivo, soO.
Everybody cheered, but I thought I heard somebody moo. It's like one cow in the audience.
soO!
Moo! Okay, anyways, we're going to go into the third game. soO, again, very unusual tech option. Very late third base, very quick layer.
Yeah.
And I did feel as though Deer kind of did an attack that he would have done had the Zerg gone for 3 bases anyways, you know, when the Adepts came out. Well, I think Deer looked at it and went, what?
Yeah.
Okay, and then shaded forward anyways.
I think soO dropped the ball, actually,
Yeah.
against those Adepts, because if he had spread
Oh, I agree with
roaches,
this for sure, yeah.
he was not going to lose. He lost like 2 drones in the main,
Well, it's
and then he lost 6 at the natural because he had nothing there when the shade finished.
It's strange, too, because when you have 2 bases, the third was just finishing when this attack happened. You have 2 bases, you only have 2 worker locations to defend, which is much easier than 3. I mean, normally we see even the best surgeons in the world sometimes falter with 3 or 4 bases because the shades are hitting in so many different directions. It's hard to juggle and split, and you can follow the shades as well as you want, but they can always cancel. So you're trying to have all these calculations going at once and keep your workers alive. But you're right, totally soO actually took too much damage and still, though, managed to hold off that attack.
Yeah, it seems like it could be a build with the aim of cutting off some of these new timings that are really getting popular right now. There's so many sharp timings where you're just busting on the Zerg and they just don't have enough. There's a lot of Adepts with Glaives, for instance, as well, and I think that that's a very good build against those. So I'm excited to see if soO continues utilizing builds like that against Protoss. It seems to me like just a meta call, and that's it.
Yeah.
Now, no drone sent to the third yet.
Rababo.
Ooh, a Rababo
coming up.
Yeah. So this could be like the Prism Stalker, or this could just be Immortals coming out. We shall see shortly here.
There's that layer again.
Yeah, so I think that this is a really cool meta play overall, right? If everyone's using things like Adepts and charge a lot Arc, or Archon drops and then charge a lot Archon Immortal, and there's also a lot of charge a lot Immortal builds, stuff like that. The fact that soO is taking away one of the locations that you can hit, getting very important upgrades early on in slightly more units, I think that this is really, really neat.
Is it wise for soO to get that layer like that?
Wait, it was at the natural or no?
No, I just meant in general. It makes me think a lot. Like I like the build as a standalone, right? The question is, like, in a best of 3, can you actually try to do it twice? Is it really safe? Is there something you want to bust out and then try to switch it up again?
Well, I think almost every Zerg, Protoss player is basically coming prepared. Oh my God, it is an infestation. This is so cool. This is so cool. So I guess I'll just shut up now and see what this is up to. Yeah, I'm really trying to think. I'm sure that he has some various branches mapped out based on what he sees. So maybe he sees, oh, it's an Immortal push, so what do you get against that? Like, I mean, Infestors can stack kill sentries really quickly with fungal growth, or of course, Swarm Hosts are kind of the more likely thing that we could see from here. And those have historically done well against Immortals. Wow, this is exciting.
Shading forward here.
soO is so cool.
There it is.
Yeah,
5 Swarm Hosts.
Okay.
Couple of Muffin Boys, fresh out of the oven.
Yeah, there's no Nidus or anything like that. Oh, there it goes. Nidus coming down. So I was wondering how he was going to be able to pull this off. The Nidus is coming.
Croissant play.
Croissant play?
Nidus looks like a croissant when it's done, the first part.
Muffins and croissants working together.
That's right.
What a world.
Some bakery stuff.
Yeah.
The bakery play is real. And he's going to push out. Oh, man. He's going to push out right now.
Yeah, he sees what's coming. So he's ready for that Nidus, but he's got to keep these back.
The thing is, yeah, you got to figure out, okay, like, is there any value in popping in there, hitting, and then coming back? It seems like this rush is very close. Again, we want to watch for when the Locusts are volleyed out, how, and how much damage they do, because there's a limited amount of time for each round. So here comes the first round.
Yeah.
Let's see what they target. There's Immortals in the front here. We don't have anything to pick them. Okay, he's not targeting the Immortals, actually.
I feel like the Lings might need to come back. Oh, wow. He actually got an Immortal.
Yeah.
That's kind of impressive.
That's like...
Oh my God, he actually got a lot of the sentries here. Look at that.
Okay, I think soO might actually win now.
Yeah, maybe.
That's
Let's see, though, because, now he has this smaller group of Locusts, and he lost most of his Lings, so I'm not
he's going to go
sold.
for the other one.
Okay.
God, Locusts do damage so fast.
Yeah, they really do. But
Sometimes I'm still not used to it to this day. I'm like, God.
thing is, he doesn't have them for a while now. They do damage quickly and die quickly, and then you're sitting there waiting for quite some time. This is a lot of units right now.
And, you know,
now, what if you just run?
In.
What if you just turn around and run from this?
Oh.
You can stand there and fight and let him kill a bunch of your units?
Ah, get that one back. Okay, he loses that one Swarm House.
So now he has to wait once again. He doesn't have that many hatcheries, making 10lings right now. Again, a couple spines. The spines are not ready. All these units good against spines anyways. The next set of locusts coming out. It's very good that he's been stifling these.
Yeah, he might just barely not have enough, actually. You can see it's constelings being made with a few more Swarm Hosts being squeezed out. We're going to have another Warp in. Again, it's not a realistic thing to be able to snipe the Warp Prism here, unless the Protoss just overextends with it or something like that.
And the spine being moved, it looks like, over to the top. Still has these queens fighting, still making as many lings as possible. A Swarm Host being made as well. Needs another round of those locusts ASAP.
Close it in!
Yeah, it seems like you might be able to just get him here.
Okay, I think we may be at the beginning of the end. With this next wave, he's going to have to like make the Nidus pop out in his main to see the Swarm Host there. Like, they can't get out now.
Yeah, it seems like that is going to be that.
Deer is doing it. I think soO's actually out. That's it. GG. Deer moves on, our first survivor in Saturday's GSL Code S.
Deer played that really well, but so did soO. I really like what soO is bringing in because the PvZ meta has been changing drastically. Protosses have all sorts of new, very aggressive builds out there that are killing Zergs off left and right. But soO comes in with 2-base layer.
Yeah.
First focusing on roaches, then going up into Swarm Host play, which I think could be a very strong counter to someone that's like going slower and taking 3 bases, going Immortals, things like that. But in this case, Deer just moving across the map, and at that point when you're that low on the Swarm Host, you don't have a lot of other units, man, does it become very difficult to hold on against that push.
We're going to go to an interview now and see how Deer is feeling.
All right, here's your winner for Group D, Newbie Deer. Congratulations.
네, 천적은 천적이네요.
All right, you're the nemesis of soO, and you proved it once again today. How do you feel about finishing first today? No, the first game was PvP. I thought it was going to be arduous because of my PvP skills. Despite the fact that I made a lot of mistakes, I was feeling great that I won. And for the winner's match, I played as placid as possible because it was soO, whom I always won against. So that was it. No, these days Protosses are usually playing a timing attack versus Zerg in the current state of the meta. Is that what it is? Zergs try to play very greedily, so we have to kill them at a certain timing, otherwise the game just gets completely out of control. So I really didn't scout too much on what soO does. I just focused on my plays, and I think that worked out very well in my favor. No, you weren't able to showcase your PBT, which is a very potent one, and it might be very regrettable to the fact that your streak got cut off to Maru in last season. How do you feel? No, a lot of people were telling me that your PBT is great, and I felt a lot of pressure. However, I never cared about the streak too much, and also I lost because Maru played very well as well. And since Maru's been eliminated this season, I think I can overcome any other Terrans that I encounter in the future. So now that some of your nemesis, such as Maru and Zess, are already eliminated, what is your confidence level in this season thus far? Now, I'm practicing very hard, incessantly, and now that there are no nemesis of mine thus far in this season, so I think I can go at least make it to the semifinals. Now, Classic is the current top seed. What do you think about him being the top seed for the upcoming group nomination? No, he and I have been practicing frequently, and we've been sharing a lot of strategies, so I don't think he's gonna pick me. I think he's gonna use his draft to his favor. Alright, any last words to the fans?
쉽게 올라가서
No,
기분 좋고
passing through the round of 32 with ease, I'm very happy about it.
경기력으로 이길 수 있도록
And I hope to do well again in the following round of 16. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Brian.
네, 이렇게 D조의 1위
Deer's just killing it,
선수
Artosis.
만나봤고요.
He is.
계속해서 GSL
He looks so
이벤트
strong.
안내해드리겠습니다.
It's really, really impressive. I think he has a real chance at winning this season.
Yeah, and now we still have 3 players in this group. soO is someone I'd be kind of bummed out, honestly, if he was eliminated. But this is, again, very good players here today.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure who's going to win between Alive and Creator. I think it's a
Alive.
reasonably close match right now.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm just unsure as to what's going to happen. I think it matters a lot on what they both bring because they're not the most stable players.
We're going to go to a quick break. We come back to the losers match, and today is GSL Code S.